fantasy owners, LTC Fantasy here. Not sure if you're chiming in watching via YouTube or listening via podcast, but really do appreciate the watch or listen no matter how you're streaming the episode. Today's our Week 10 Weekend Ads episode, so we'll take a look at this weekend schedule, kind of break it down to suggest players to hopefully help strengthen your fantasy roster as you make that final push in your fantasy leagues there. Some things to note, it's kind of your typical weekend. Light night on Friday, only 3 games. Really heavy on Saturday, 13 games. And then light again on Sunday with 5 games. So with that, we will focus on the Friday and Sunday teams. We'll cover them all. And then we'll also look at some players that have 2 games this weekend to maximize on some games played to hopefully give you a little bit of an edge. So we will cover St. Louis first as they play Friday only this weekend. Then we will cover Pittsburgh and Seattle because they play Sunday only this weekend. Then we'll follow that up. We'll look at teams that play both Friday and Sunday. That way they get both light nights this weekend. Then we'll look at teams that play Friday and Saturday. And finish it off with teams that play Saturday and Sunday. That way you got a lot of suggestions with 2-game players there. So basically, we'll get right into it. St. Louis, some defensemen and forwards. Again, these players are playing Friday only. And on the back end, look at Colton Parayko. Owned in 12% of Yahoo leagues. Playing on that top pairing there. And he has 4 points the last 7 games. And in those 7 games, he has 13 shots on goal, 12 hits, and 13 blocks. His value really is in the hits and blocks department, not known for offense, but recently averaging over a point per game over the last few weeks could be a decent streamer for you on a very light Friday there. Another one on the back end is Nick Leddy, only owned in 1% of Yahoo leagues. He's also on that top pairing there. He's been pointless the last 3, but before that he had points in 4 straight games. So with that, his offense isn't that great. He's no darling in the offense department. But he did have a 4-game point streak there. He can be a little streaky, of course. So with that, there is some risk involved. But in your real deep leagues, he would be an option for you on a Friday there. Up front for St. Louis, look at Braden Shen. Listed as center left winger, owned in 58% of Yahoo leagues. Playing on that top line, top power play unit there. And he has 4 points the last 5 games with 10 shots on goal and 6 hits. He's been better of late. He was a little streaky to start. Last year he was pretty consistent. So hopefully this is showing that he's going to be more consistent throughout. But just being on the top line, top power play unit there should be a fairly decent streaming option for you on Friday. Next one is Ryan O'Reilly, listed as a center, owned in 38% of Yahoo leagues, plays on that top line, second power play unit, and he has 7 points in his last 9 games with 18 shots on goal. Should also mention he also wins a bunch of face-offs, so if those are considered in your league, that'll definitely add some value for you. But decent offense on a very light Friday could be an option. And the last one's Robert Thomas, listed as a center, owned in 55% of Yahoo leagues. Center's at second line, up on the top power play unit there. And he has 10 points his last 11 games, so basically a point per game player. And overall, he pretty much is a point per game player and under 65% owned. So his offense has been fairly consistent. And with that, you should be able to get some value out of him on Friday there. Now we'll move along to some D-men that play Sunday only. From Seattle, look at Adam Larsson, owned in 27% of Yahoo leagues. Plays in that top pairing in Seattle, and he has 6 points his last 8 games with 27 hits and 17 blocks. With him, similar to Parayko, his value is in the hits and blocks department. That's where you're going to get it. If you get any offense, consider it a bonus because you shouldn't rely on Larsson to put up your offensive numbers there. But he is chipping in of late, so it could give you that little added boost there, especially playing on a light Sunday there. Another one in Seattle's Vince Dunn, owned in 55% of Yahoo leagues, plays in that top pairing, top power play unit, and he's been pointless the last 4, but before that he put up 8 points the previous 8 games there. he gets a lot of opportunity in Seattle playing top pairing, top power play. Would be the best option for you in most formats anyways. So should be a fairly decent option if he's available in your league. The last one from Seattle is Justin Schultz, owned in 30% of Yahoo leagues, plays second pairing, second power play unit there. He's been pointless the last 5, but before that he put up 10 points in a 6-game stretch there. With that, he started out the season really hot, then he got really cold, then he got hot, then cold. So he is very streaky. So with that, there is some risk reward. Really looks like when you get rewarded, you really get rewarded. And when it's risky, you're wondering why the hell did I stream him? So with that, I would leave him more for deeper leagues and look at some more consistent options in your standard leagues. But regardless, is an option for you. Before we move into the forwards though, do want to ask you, please subscribe if you're watching via YouTube. We're really trying to grow this channel and would really enjoy the support there. That's my little promo for you, and then we'll get into some forwards now that play Sunday only. We'll start off in Pittsburgh. Look at Rickard Rakell, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 62% of Yahoo leagues, playing on that top line, top power play unit. And he's put up 4 points the last 4 games there, with 9 shots on goal and 5 hits. With that, he kind of got off his schneid where he was getting a point one game, bagel the next, point one game, bagel the next. He's kind of getting a little bit more consistency the last week. Does that hold up? Don't really know, but with that, on a light night, should be a fairly decent streaming option, especially when you're on Crosby's wing there. Next one is Brian Rust in Pittsburgh, listed as a right winger, owned in 62% of Yahoo leagues, playing second line, second power play unit there, and he has 8 points in the last 5 games there, 11 shots on goal and 7 blocks. Kind of looked like he took forever to get going this year. We know what he's done the last few years. Hopefully this is a sign, and with that, he should be a pretty solid streaming option based on season past and what he's done the last few games here. Over in Seattle, look at Andre Burakovsky, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 60% of Yahoo leagues, plays on that top line and top power play unit there. He's put up 12 points the last 9 games with 24 shots on goal. Overall this year, he's been fairly consistent, so if he is available in your league, should definitely be able to get some value out of him. Another one in Seattle's Jared McCann, listed as center left winger, owned in 17% of Yahoo leagues, playing on the second line, up on the top power play unit there, and he's had 10 points his last 11 games, so pretty nice production there. He is okay in most cats too. He will help you out a little bit in the hits and blocks department, shots on goal, etc. So should be a fairly safe streaming option on a light Sunday. Next one in Seattle's Matty Beniers, listed as a center, owned in 44% of Yahoo leagues, on that second line, second power play unit. He's been hot. 14 points the last 10 games there. In those 10 games, he's a plus 11. So if plus minus is counted in your league, should be fairly good. He also gets you a fair amount of hits and blocks, shots on goal. He's pretty well-rounded young kid. Like, he's really playing older than what he is there. And with that, he should be a fairly safe streaming option for you this weekend. Now we'll move along to some Demon that play both Friday and Sunday. So you're getting both light nights out of these ones here. We'll start off in Calgary. Look at Noah Hanifin, owned in 58% of Yahoo leagues, playing top line, second power play unit there, and he has 6 points the last 9 games, so pretty decent production. 17 shots on goal, 13 hits, and 22 blocks in those 9 games. So he is a fairly well-rounded defenseman. Definitely get value out of him in a Cats League as a streamer this weekend. Even in a scoring league, 6 points in 9 games, fairly decent production. Gets both light nights. Should be a fairly good option for you. Go over to Minnesota. Look at Kalen Addison, owned in 12% of Yahoo leagues, playing third pairing up on that top power play unit there. And he has 7 points the last 7 games, with 11 shots on goal, 4 blocks. 5 of those points have been on the power play, so gets you some PP points there. He's more of an offensive only play. The other categories are a little bit light, but for a light night, should be a fairly decent option for you anyways. Last one in Minnesota is Jared Spurgeon, owned in 54% of Yahoo leagues, plays in the top pairing second power play unit there. He has 4 points the last 6 games, and in those 6 games he has 14 shots on goal, 8 hits, and 11 blocks. He is more balanced than Addison, so he'd be the safer streamer for this weekend, but Addison does have more offensive upside, just kind of depending how your league is formatted on which way you want to go with it. So now we'll move along to some forwards that play both Friday and Sunday. So remember, you're going to get both light nights out of these forwards here. And we'll start off in Calgary again. Look at Andrew Mangiapane, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 34% of Yahoo leagues, playing on that second line, second power play unit. And he has 6 points the last 8 games there. All 6 points have been in 3 multi-point games. So he's had 5 bagels and 3 2-point games there. So there is a bit of risk reward there, but getting both light nights kind of offsets that. So you should hopefully get some value out of him if you choose to stream him. Next one in Calgary is Dylan Dubé, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 3% of Yahoo leagues, playing second line, second power play unit there. And he also has 6 points the last 8 games there with 17 hits. He is in the top 6. He can be kind of hot or cold. 6 and 8 for him is more of a hot streak for him. So he'd be more of a deeper league play. More of a deeper league decent option for you anyways. Another one in Calgary is Michael Backlund, listed as a center, owned in only 9% of Yahoo leagues. Centering that third line in Calgary, he's been hot the last couple of weeks here. 7 points the last 6 games, 17 shots on goal and 6 hits. He's been pretty good of late, but he can disappear offensively for a while there. So there is a little bit of risk, but with how hot he is heading into the weekend, should hopefully get some value out of him in your deeper leagues. Another one in Calgary is Adam Ruzicka, listed as center left winger, owned in 7% of Yahoo leagues, playing that third line and second power play unit there, and he has 7 points the last 7 games there. His offense has been a really nice surprise. Haven't really expected much of him, but for the last month, he's actually produced fairly decent. So in your deeper leagues, you should be able to find him there and get some decent value this weekend. Next one is Taylor Radish over in Chicago, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 1% of Yahoo leagues, playing on the second line and top power play unit, and he has 4 points the last 7 games, so not the greatest, not the worst. 12 shots on goal, 8 hits, and 5 blocks. So he's not really bad, not really great in any category, just a fairly low-end, decent streamer in a deep Cats league. Should be able to get some value out of him. Next one in Chicago is Max Domi, listed as center, left wing, and right wing, owned in 27% of Yahoo leagues, plays on the top line, top power play unit there, and he has 9 points the last 11 games, so decent amount of production, 27 shots on goal. With Chicago, he can be a little bit streaky, so there's a little bit of risk there, but he's been fairly consistent, probably the most consistent forward outside of Patrick Kane, who you're not going to be able to find there. So with that, he should be an okay streaming option, getting both light nights. Over in Minnesota, look at Joel Eriksson Ek, listed as a center, owned in 61% of Yahoo leagues, centering that third line on the top power play unit there, and he has 13 points his last 12 games with 39 shots on goal. He also has pretty nice face-off wins, hit and block numbers, fairly well-rounded, so if you're in a Cats league, pretty safe streaming option. Even in a scoring league with the offense, 13 points in 12 games, should get some pretty good value out of him. Last one in Minnesota is Connor Dewar, listed as center left winger, owned in 1% of Yahoo leagues, plays on the fourth line in Minnesota, but he has 5 points the last 6 games there. 8 shots on goal, 9 hits, 4 blocks. So pretty nice numbers there, but you got to remember, he only plays 4th line minutes, so with that, I would only stream him if I'm in a really, really deep league. In your standard leagues, yes, he's getting nice production, but that ice time scares me. I'd be looking at some other options. So now for some D-men that play both Friday and Saturday. Start off in Arizona. Look at Shayne Gostisbehere. Owned in 47% of Yahoo leagues. Plays on the top pairing second power play unit there. And he has 10 points the last 9 games. +5. Pretty nice being plus in Arizona there. And 10 blocks in those 9 games. So for a guy that, well, early in his career was all offense, he's getting a fair amount of blocks now. He's been fairly decent of late. That kind of coincides with right around the time Chychrun came back. Seems to really benefit being paired with him. And they've been paired for a while now, so look for that to continue. So he should be a pretty good streaming option for you this weekend. Over in for the Islanders, look at Ryan Pulock. Owned in 37% of Yahoo leagues. Plays on the top pairing second power play unit. He has 5 points the last 7 games there. 8 hits and 15 blocks. Got to remember, 5 points in 7 games. He did have 4 assists in 1 game, so a big chunk of that there. But he does get an okay amount of hit and block totals there. His offense has been wildly inconsistent this year, so he definitely is risk-reward kind of a play. So I would leave him only for deep, deep leagues where the options are pretty limited, so to speak. Another one to think of from the Islanders is Alex Romanov. Owned in 18% of Yahoo leagues. Playing on that third pairing. He has 4 points the last 12 games, so little bit of offense, not a lot of offense. 41 hits, though, and 16 blocks. So his value, as you can tell, is really in the hits and blocks department. If you get any offense out of streaming him this weekend, consider that just a bonus. You really shouldn't look at Romanov and be depending on some points from him there. Some forwards now that play both Friday and Saturday. Start off again in the desert. Look at Clayton Keller from Arizona there. Listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 63% of Yahoo leagues. Plays on the top line, top power play unit there. And he has 10 points the last 12 games, so just a smidge under a point per game. 26 shots on goal and 8 blocks. He's been fairly consistent this year, and he really is the best offensive option in Arizona. And with that, you should be able to get some value out of him getting 2 games this weekend there. Another one in Arizona is Larsson Krause. Listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 9% of Yahoo leagues. Playing second line, second power play unit there. And he's put up 7 points the last 9 games, so decent amount of production. 17 shots on goal, 19 hits, and 8 blocks. So with that, you know he's going to bang the body. He's going to block some pucks. His offense can be streaky, been decent of late. So definitely in a catch league, you'll get some value out of him. In a scoring league, needs to be a deep scoring league before I'm looking at him as an option there. Another one in Arizona is Matias Maccelli. Listed as a left winger, owned in 3% of Yahoo leagues. Plays on that second line, second power play unit there. And he has 9 points the last 8 games. He does get you points. He gets you points, but he's really low in the other categories. Doesn't shoot the puck very much. Doesn't really step in front of it and block it. Doesn't throw the body around. So he is a deep scoring league play only. Cats league, only if you're in need of points. If you need some points in a Cats league, might be an option. That's where you're going to get your value out of them. For the Islanders, look at Anders Lee. Listed as a left winger. Owned in 61% of Yahoo leagues. Playing on that second line and top power play unit there. And he has 2 points the last 4 games, so not the greatest. But 14 shots on goal and 5 blocks. Do remember, Lee started out really, really hot this year. That was kind of his MO last year. He'd get really hot, really cold, really hot, really cold. If he is hot, you definitely will get some value out of him. He's kind of a hit or miss type of streamer, but having 2 games this weekend, maybe he hits it for you. Now for some D-men that play both Saturday and Sunday. Look at Brady Shea in Carolina there. Owned in 17% of Yahoo leagues. Playing second pairing, second power play unit. And he currently has 3 points in a 3-game point streak there with 12 shots on goal. He is streaky, but for deeper leagues, he might be an okay option for you this weekend. Another one in Carolina is Brett Pesce. Owned in 3% of Yahoo leagues on that second pairing with Shea and second power play unit there. And he's put up 5 points the last 7 games with 10 shots on goal and 13 blocks. He's been pretty good the last couple of weeks. Been getting power play time for a while now after he knocked Slavin off of there. So you should be able to get some value out of him, especially in your deeper leagues. Over for the Rangers, look at Keandre Miller, owned in 21% of Yahoo leagues, playing second pairing, second power play unit there, and he has 8 points the last 12 games, pretty nice production, 34 hits in those 12 games, and 15 blocks. So as you can tell, he's fairly well-rounded. So in a Cats League, for sure getting 2 games this weekend, you need a streamer. You will get some value out of him. In your deeper scoring leagues, 8 points and 12 is pretty nice production. Should also get some value out of him there. Another one for the Rangers is Braden Schneider, owned in 1% of Yahoo leagues, playing third pairing there. He has 3 points the last 6 games, so half point per game, not bad, not horrible. 16 hits and 6 blocks. He is okay in most categories, but only getting third line minutes. He is a risk-reward play, so really only use him in your real deep leagues as a streaming option this weekend. Over in San Jose, look at Matt Benning, owned in 3% of Yahoo leagues, playing second pairing, second power play unit there. He's put up 9 points the last 10 games, so really nice production, damn near a point per game. +4. In San Jose, a plus player is kind of hard to find, so that's a nice added bonus there. 19 hits in those 10 games and 30 blocks, so definitely blocks a lot of shots. He's taking advantage of opportunity. Really thin blue line in San Jose. He's been boosted up to the second power play unit. With that, his offense has taken off the last few weeks. Gets you a nice amount of hits, nice amount of blocks. So in a Cats League as a streamer this weekend, should be able to get some value out of him. Next one's over in Winnipeg. Look at Nate Schmidt. Owned in only 2% of Yahoo leagues. Playing third pairing on that second power play unit. And he has 3 points the last 6 games, so half point per game. 13 shots on goal, 6 blocks. He has been inconsistent this year. He was over a 30-point D-man, though, last year. And with that, and he's back up on that second power play unit, in your deeper leagues, should hopefully get some value out of him this weekend. So we'll finish it off with some forwards that play both Saturday and Sunday. And we'll start off again in Carolina. Look at Seth Jarvis, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 30% of Yahoo leagues. Plays on the top line, second power play unit. He's been on a pretty good run of late, having 6 points his last 7 games. In those 7 games, he's been +5, has had 16 shots on goal and 6 blocks. Does have some pretty decent numbers all around, and he's been on a nice offensive run late, so he should be a fairly decent option for you this weekend. Over for the Rangers, look at Alex Lafreniere, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 21% of Yahoo leagues, playing on the top line, second power play unit, and he has 3 points the last 4 games, so pretty good last week. In those 4 games, he has 8 shots on goal, 4 hits and 3 blocks. He has been really hit or miss this year, though, so there is definitely some risk involved with streaming him. I'd look more at Jarvis if he's available before I'd look Lafreniere. But in your deeper leagues, might be able to get some value out of him. Over in San Jose, look at Thomas Hertl, listed as a center, owned in 63% of Yahoo leagues. Plays top line, top power play unit there. And he's put up 14 points his last 12 games with 36 shots on goal, 14 hits, and 7 blocks. He He really is decent in most categories, so definitely in a Cats league, he'd be a pretty good streamer for you. Even in your scoring leagues, should be able to get some fairly decent value out of him with getting 2 games this weekend there. Another one in San Jose is Kevin LeBlanc, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 2% of Yahoo leagues, plays on that top line, second power play unit there, and he has 6 points the last 6 games played, so some pretty nice production the last little while. He can be a little bit streaky, so little bit risk reward play there, but with getting 2 games on that top line with Hertl and Meyer, should hopefully be able to get some value for you. Next one in San Jose is Logan Couture, listed as a center, owned in 52% of Yahoo leagues, plays second line, top power play unit there, and he has 13 points the last 12 games with 37 shots on goal, 22 hits, and 12 blocks. As you can see, he pretty much chips in everywhere, so pretty much in any format, you're going to get some value from him if you can fit him into your lineup this weekend. Next one in San Jose is Nick Bonino, listed as center left winger, only owned in 1% of Yahoo leagues, but up on that second line, second power play unit there, and he has goals in 3 straight games. He blocks a lot of shots too, so blocks, you need blocks in a Cats league. He'll definitely get you some value in the forward ranks there. Goals in 3 straight. But with that, he's not in the top 6 very often. So only in real deep leagues am I looking at him. But depending how deep your league is and how it's formatted, you might be able to get some value out of him. Another one in San Jose is Alex Barabanov, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 4% of Yahoo leagues, plays on the second line, up on the top power play unit. He's been on a pretty good run as well, having 9 points the last 10 games there, with 26 shots on goal and 6 blocks in those 10 games. So he's been pretty good and fairly consistent, so he should be a pretty nice streamer in most formats there. Last one's in Winnipeg. Look at Cole Perfetti, listed as center, left wing, and right wing. Like that, you can fit him anywhere in the forward ranks there. Owned in 30% of Yahoo leagues. Playing on the top line, second power play unit there. And he has 9 points his last 9 games there with 25 shots on goal. The kid is really fitting in on the top line. He does have some offensive talent. And with having 2 games this weekend, being on the top line in Winnipeg, should hopefully get some value for you. That's it for today's episode. We'll be out in a bit with our Week 11 strategy episode. If you're watching via YouTube and you did like it, remember to hit like, hit subscribe, remember that notification bell. If you're listening via podcast, remember to hit that heart, hit follow, hit subscribe, depending what platform you're listening to it on. Really do hope you do find value in these episodes, and we'll talk to you soon there, fantasy owners.